to share my whatever I have. So I would like to welcome all the participants. So let me share my screen first. Yeah. Madam, only meeting organizers and presenters can share. So
Okay,
can you
okay,
give me
okay.
the rights, please?
Just a second, just a second. Abhinav, please see to it.
Okay.
Done, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ma'am,
So
now you can share.
yeah, is it visible to everyone? My screen?
Not as of now. I think it is taking some time.
Can you please check? Is it?
It's not. No, no, it's not visible. Please reshare.
No,
Yeah.
your video is off, I think.
Video would not actually matter much. Yeah. Now I think
Can you see that screen?
yes. Now we can see that.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now I'm starting my session. So as per the theme of the FDP, I'm giving uh, the lecture on visualization and processing of big data. So basically, I will be handling two sessions today. One is for lunch, this one, and another is after lunch. So most probably I will going to continue. So initially I will be discussing about the visualization concepts, and later I will be showing some examples based on Hadoop ecosystem. So basically, I'm going to demonstrate how Kibana works for the visualization purpose when we are taking the big data. For the same. So, so basically, these are the outline, but we are going to see what are the main concepts related to visualization. So, the first thing is like you see, whenever we develop any application, visualization is the one of the key component where the users can get benefited. So the first thing is, what is visualization? So you can say that the purpose of visualization is to acquire some knowledge or some information. So you can see these are the small pictures, and with the help of these pictures, there is no need of any further narration. Anybody can see that this is the picture where the particular kid is showing the listening activity, and this is the touch activity, and this is the taste and smell, and maybe it is a simple loop. So basically the purpose of visualization is to acquire information. So you all can understand this is something which is a core of any end user interest. So any time the end user is very much interested for the visualization. Okay. And there is a very famous Chinese proverb like a picture is worth 1,000 words. So whatever we show in a picture, it may able to replace means all the story behind it. So it is a very strong way of expressing some ideas, some context, something. So if we talk about means how the visualization actually happen, so basically visualization pipeline is nothing but it is a parallel processing to extract low level visual properties such as color, shape, etc., and sequentially we present it in such a way so that it can able to represent something. So it is basically goal oriented processing. So you can see that if we try to visualize something, the first stage is to have early parallel detection of color, texture, shape, and spatial attributes. Then in the second stage, we divide the visual fields into regions and try to understand the simple patterns. And the third stage is basically holding the objects in working memory by demand of active attention. So basically, this is the whole purpose of the visualization. and the means we start with a very low level information and after the visualization process completion, we can able to understand the complete context. So this is basically known as visualization pipeline. So there are multiple purposes of visualization. So with the help of visualization, we may understand the context. Maybe the context are nothing but certain range of numbers, and they are indicating some reasons, and these reasons are basically representing some, you can say that some context. So that is the possible thing in case of visualization. So here you can see that this is the visualization of human activities, and it is basically a social network data which we are taking. So with the help of this visualization, you can see the people, those who are highly connected with among peers. So maybe the popular personalities, or maybe the persons those who are more active, more, they are more socializing. So basically this is the way how we visualize the things if it is in terms of social media connections. Okay. Similarly, you can see that visualization is used for reasoning and decision making. So most of the time through visualization, we may able to correlate, we may able to understand the associations, we may able to understand the causes or their effect. So it is basically overall helping us to get appropriate reasoning and appropriate decision making. So there are various examples. So you can see that how this is showing the summarization of airlines in United States. So basically you can see that all small dots are nothing but the beginning point, and these connections are nothing but they are showing the routes, and you can see that those who are the means highly trafficked routes, they are the main routes, and there may be secondary interconnections. So this is basically showing the airlines in United States. So it is a kind of visualization. Later you can see that it is nothing but a graph visualization. So that is basically, if we call a graph visualization, so most of the time the visualization is nothing but it is dealing of nodes and edges. So I'm coming to the formal definition. So what is information visualization? So the action or fact of visualizing is the power or process of forming a mental picture or vision or something not actually present to the sight. A picture thus formed. So basically it is a way to give imagination to a particular shape. Okay, and the another definition is finding the artificial memory that best support our neural means of perception. So basically whatever which we could easily understand, so that is actually the visualization. So visualization is nothing but to support our neural capabilities so that we can easily get a clear perception. Okay, so these are the two very philosophical information, but if we go for some more formal one in terms of IT perspective, so the use of computer supported interactive visual representation of abstract data to amplify the cognition. So ultimately you see all these three definitions, the one thing is common. Visualization is to support our understanding. Visualization is to have more clarity. Visualization is to have better perception. So basically this is the sole aim of performing the visualization. Okay, so I think now we may able to answer the question, why do we create visualization? Okay, so there are various examples, like here if I am saying that counting the number of threes in the following text. Okay, so this text is nothing but it is a stream of numbers and you needed to count the digit which is 3. So these are the things. So here you may get little difficulty, but suppose if I am giving you this another picture where somehow these particular reason of interest, or maybe your interest pattern is already highlighted, then you can easily count. So visualization is also for efficient processing. Most of the time through visualization we are supporting efficient processing. So this is the purpose, one purpose of visualization. The another purpose of visualization is to finding the pattern of interest. So pre-attentive visual channels can catch our attention to see the patterns. So you can see that, suppose we want to understand here, like what are the different shapes. So shapes can be visualized. Okay, suppose we want to see like which one is the more sharper. So sharpness can be visualized. Suppose we want to understand how it is different in terms of convex and concave. So it can also get visualized easily. So you can see there are various applications where through visualization it can be clearly understood. So there is no other way to convey the knowledge or perception. The only way is to have efficient or effective visualization. So basically, suppose here you want to see the misalignment. So through visualization, it can be easily understood. Here you want to see the direction of motion. Again, through visualization, we can easily understand. Okay, and here we can see the phase of motion. So again, through visualization, it can be easily understood. So this is the way. So first way is visualization is to understand various context which is difficult to understand easily without visualization. The second thing is visualization is to have more clarity in terms of context. So suppose we are having certain data where we are calculating mean, standard deviation, correlation. So we can see these values, the relationship between x and y, and how it is reflecting the context through visualization. So you can have various graphs among variables. So we can see the how x1 and y1 is related, how x2 y2 is related, what is the relationship between x3 y3, or so basically it can see the data in a particular context in terms of correlation. So this is again a purpose of visualization. The another thing is like what how we do the visual, means why we do the visualization. So again, supporting the same thing, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So with the help of visualization, you may easily able to understand. So visualization is a better communication method. So some other reasons, like it can help to understand the context, it can help to find out the patterns, it can help to explain a story, it can attract attentions, it may be a mode of communication, it may be a way to summarize or interpretation, it is a way to have more clear understanding in terms of graphical calculation, or it is a way to expand the memory. Sometimes we visualize so that we can grasp it more clearly, and it is finally to inspire people. So there are various reasons of visualization. Okay, so if we talk about the active visual existing visualization techniques, so what we do generally, there is a visual analysis reference model. So in visual analysis reference model, we consider initially the data in the raw format, and with the help of data mining, we try to extract the data, and that data is basically go through certain encoding and filtering kind of approach. Then only we can convert the data into the visual form. And lastly, there are certain rendering mechanism possible where it can give the appropriate view to the particular scenario in terms of visualization. So this is basically the visual analysis reference model. And the another way of visualization is taxonomy by the data types. So you can see that when we try to visualize something, it is all depending upon the type of data. And luckily, different type of data is having different way of interpretation. So we are using interpretation tools to process the different types of data in a different way. So for example, if we are having the one-dimensional data, so you can see this one, it is showing the one-dimensional data. Sometimes we are dealing with two-dimensional data. Sometimes we are dealing with the three-dimensional data and multi-dimensional data. So in terms of dimensions, they are having different context. Data is having different context. Similarly, the data can be of temporal type, can be of tree type, or can be of graph type. So temporal data, you understand, it is varying over a period of time. Tree data is more hierarchical, or graph data is maybe it is nothing but interconnection of nodes and edges to represent the complex real-world situation. So basically, this is the taxonomy of the data types. Then I'm taking the examples one by one. So all the examples of graph like horizontal bar or vertical bar, whatever we have shown here, they can be considered as a one-dimensional numerical data representation. Sometimes with the help of pie chart, you can also explain the same one-dimensional numerical data. Line charts with multiple values in terms of axis is also a one-dimensional way of representing the data. So this you can see it is a temporal data representation, and it is a 1D data representation where we are taking the timestamp as a reference and data values are changing. So it is just showing how the movies are releasing. So basically this is the temporal data of box office where we can see how the movies are releasing over a period of time. Then we have the 2D data. So 2D data is basically, here we can see that size of each cell is representing the stock market values. The colors are representing the stock change. So basically this is the way where we are having the 2D data for the visualization purpose. Similarly, for multidimensional data, we are having various dimensions like cylinders, displacements.
Madam,
I'm sorry. I mean, somebody's mic is on actually. Can please mute that
I have
mic?
muted. I have muted.
Please. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, okay, thank you. So now it is better. So similarly, we have the multidimensional aspects of data. So visualization can be done on different dimensions, and you can see that with the help of these multidimensional data, you can interpret the situation based on certain important parameters among all the dimensions, whatever we have. So this is again a way of visualizing. Then you can see there are visualization possible with structured data or unstructured data. So if it is a structured data, then definitely we are going to follow some set patterns over it. And if it is an unstructured data, so you can easily understand what is the meaning of unstructured data. See, most of the application nowadays, they are dealing with the unstructured data. So for example, like here we are visualizing the text document, and you know that every text document is having very different structure. So maybe it is unstructured, we can say. This text document is containing lots of information of different type. So again, to have this, we can see the this mapping of words where every word which is shown with higher size or bigger size, it is basically catching the interest. So it is more important here. So basically, this is the way which we have explored to visualize the text document. So visualization of unstructured data. Similarly, the unstructured data can also be visualized with the help of some nodes and edges. So that is also very likely possible in most of the social media analytics, or where we are trying to understand something which is unsupervised. So this is the way how we visualize the unstructured data. Then we have the geospatial data. So geospatial data we can visualize. It is nothing but showing the different maps with some of the highlights. The highlights can be differentiated with the help of certain colors, and the colors can represent some of the values. So suppose here you can see that blue color, yellow color. So basically they are representing certain values. Similarly, we can represent the spatial temporal data with the help of some more particular color coding. It is with the help of different shades, we are trying to represent the different emotions or different ranking, something like that. So this is again a way to visualize. Okay, here I am representing the wind map visualization, and yeah. So one thing which is very important here, like visualize, although I am giving you the picture that visualization is for the purpose of understanding, but it is not always possible that whatever we are trying to visualize should get as a beautiful picture at the end of the steps, means final step. So basically, it is not only to make it more attractive or more appealing, but it is basically to make it more and more informative. So the purpose of the visualization is to reveal the insights of the data. Okay, so that is very important here. So most of the time, the visualization is, although we try to make it more and more attractive, but it is also true that it should be more and more informative. So there is a kind of trade-off which we need to identify between the attractiveness or information rich. Okay, so there are another, means something which is going into the behind. So means we convert the normal picture into in terms of some graphical components, so that we can have more and more information. So basically there are two types of visualization. One is the information visualization and second is the scientific visualization. So for most of the research purposes, you will see that we need to convert the images in terms of scientific visualization to have better understanding. So basically there are three types of, you can say that, sub areas. One is the scientific visualization, second is the information visualization, and third one is the visual analytics. So basically the scientific visualization is dealing with the core data, which is richest. The information visualization, we try to grasp some of the attractive features over it, so it is an abstract data. And information, this visual analysis or visual analytics is the data which is for the purpose of end users. So the data which is now converted into the value. So that is basically the core aim of the visual analytics. So basically these are the three areas where most of the tools are serving us, most of the research is going on. So as I so that is all about the visualization thing. So I think you can understand like how visualization is playing a key role in most of our applications. Now I am taking a new aspect, means another aspect, like visualization, although it is possible in every domain, but you can understand this is the domain of big data, means this is the time of big data. So how the visualization can help to handle the big data scenario. So that is basically I'm trying to correlate here. So you again, you can go through these two famous quotes. First one, I'm just reading it. Data is the new oil. So I think you all can agree. Like our all natural resources, like we have soil, we have air, we have light, we have wind. Now we are having data. So data is just like one of the natural resource. It is like a new oil. So if the data is like an oil, you have to also admit that it can be useless if it is not refined. So we can make it useful only if it is a refined. So this is the core thing, like data is an oil, but it has only its value when it is properly refined. And here the refinement purpose is a series of steps, and finally it is at the level of visualization. So visualization is the ultimate step of data refinement. Finally, the whatever we'll able to do, we should ultimately represent it in terms of certain visualization. Okay, see the another quote. We have for the first time an economy based on a key resource, that is information. It is not only renewable but self-generating. Running out of it is not a problem, but drowning in it is. So you can recall the situation 20 years back. So that was the time everybody was complaining that no data available. Okay, so that was one scenario where we really face the data, means a lack of data. But now what is the case? Here we have ample amount of data, and now the problem is how to store the data, how to handle the data, how to search from the data, how to retrieve from the data. So here the problem is entirely different. Here we are struggling with the huge availability of data. So basically, now the situation is if we have no data, then not an issue. Maybe we can get as and when required. But here the problem is we are having excess amount of data, and to handle this excess amount of data is really a big trouble. So basically we are now droning into the data. So this is the two famous quotes, and these are giving the very motivational research directions in the big data field. Okay, so I'm quickly going ahead. So basically, what I'm trying to establish, big data is the next natural resource. And if we talk about how to deal with this big data, so basically we need mining, refining, and delivering such big data. So basically all these stages, in fact, it is mining, refining, and delivering. The data visualization is playing a very important role in various stages. So not to take much time. So basically the purpose of big data is to have better analytics over the broader spectrum of data, so that it can create more and more understanding. So you can understand like how it is related to the visualization steps. So if I'm taking another aspect, like what are the sources of big data, so you can understand the first very common source of big data nowadays is our social media platform. So it may be Twitter, it may be Google, our Google account, it may be the Facebook account. So basically terabytes of data we are generating every day. The another thing is basically generation of data through IoT devices to RFID devices to GPS enabled devices, through our mobile phones, through cameras. So basically you can see that big data is coming from everywhere. So data is coming from everywhere. So suppose if it is a task to visualize the big data. So what do you think, from where we can start? So here, if we go in terms of our previous practices, early stage practices, so what we can do, we may try to plot graphs. Okay, so that is the very beginning thing we can do with the visualization. So graphs can be anything. Graphs can be one-dimensional, two-dimensional, or multi-dimensional graphs. Graphs can be heat maps, histograms. So there are various examples where we can represent the big data in terms of graphs. But are you confident that whatever characteristics of big data we are having can be easily visualized? So this is the question. I'm here with a question mark. So let us see what are the characteristics of big data so that we may attempt for effective visualization. So you can see here the first part of the big data characteristics is basically the volume part. So, okay, volume means data is at rest, means we may have large amount of data, maybe terabytes of data, petabytes of data. But the best part is, means the thing which is comfortable here is data is at rest. So basically all the data is available to us. So if we are trying to visualize, we may divide it in further chunks. We may take all together. We can do sampling, and one sample can represent one part of data. So basically there are multiple ways to visualize it. So terabytes or hexabytes of data, which is basically the volume part of big data, and with the characteristics that data is at rest. So visualization can be comfortable. More and more chances are there to visualize. So you are not going to lose anything. You can repeatedly visualize. Okay. See the another property of big data, that is velocity part. So velocity part means if you are trying to visualize this particular type of big data, definitely the things are not as comfortable we have seen in the first case, that is the volume part. So velocity part means data is in motion. So data is in motion means data is coming in a very faster way. For example, maybe you are receiving millions of records per second. So the question is, if you are receiving millions of records per second, so how to visualize immediately in real time? So that is really difficult thing. So whenever we talk about the visualization for the velocity characteristics of big data, so the thing is we need a very higher means processing speed, so that without having any delay or latency, you may able to update your visualization patterns. Even if you are drawing a simple graph, it should be updated with each and every record. So how to process it so fast that at every blink of eye you may able to show the updated picture? So that is really a difficult task. Similarly, you see the visualization of big data, if it is having the characteristics of variety part. So variety means you have unstructured data, you have structured data, you have multimedia data. So how to visualize all those data in terms of extracting some knowledge? So really it is a difficult thing. Okay, then you can understand, like if basically if you want to highlight the variety part, then the challenges are different. See, the another values v of big data is the veracity part. Veracity part means uncertainty. So basically whenever we talk about the big data, it is also always assumed that the data is having full of uncertainties. So maybe because the sources are varied, because the speed is too high, because the availability is too much. So basically it means face data inconsistency, data incompleteness, ambiguities, latencies. So basically these are the things. So if I will ask you to highlight the veracity part of the big data, so you need to understand like how to represent the uncertainty, how to represent the inconsistency, and then how to highlight it, so that with your picture or your graph or your visualization I may able to understand whether the data is means what is the variety index of that, but veracity index of that particular data element. So that is really a difficult task. Okay, then visualization is basically we have to also see, like it is not only to serve the means it is not only to support the visualization, but we are also looking for the visualization with full of privacy, security, and other authentication supports. So how to make the trade data to be visualized with all such support is really a difficult task. Okay, then you can understand, like if I will ask you whatever data we have or I have, you just through your visualization you convert your data to some values. So my purpose of visualization is not to understand the data, but to understand the values of the data. So means we are not looking for simple visualization, but we have the challenge to make it more what you can say that more powerful, so that it can directly highlight the value part of the data. So value part may be what I can say, like value part may be how to make it more understandable, how to make it more refined, how to convert it in terms of certain assets, so that anyone can have better means more benefit over it. So that is basically the value part. Other than this, suppose we want to visualize the variability part of the data. Variability part means we just want to see how the data patterns are changing. We want to see the viscosity part of the data. Viscosity part of the data means we just want to see how the data means how the data elements and its availability are varying over a period of time. So means what is the lag time, what is the latency time for the particular data at a particular event. So how fast it is reporting to us, how fast it is available to get visualized. Then we have the virality part. suppose we want to see the virality factor of any data. So how to, through visualization, how we can see how it is more viral. And the last thing is volatility part. So suppose whatever data is available to us, if we want to have a visualization where we can see the life of that data. So life of that data means I know that it may not be available after maybe next 1 day or 20 days or something like this. So that is the validity part. So whatever information we have, suppose if we could able to attach it with some time bound information, some virality indexing, then it may be easy to understand its context in terms of the volatility part. So basically these are the different big data aspects where we need to explore the visualization techniques in a thorough different way. So although all these aspects are equally important, it is not possible to highlight each part of it, but I will try to see how the data can be visualized when we are dealing with the streaming data. So streaming data, basically what is the challenge of the streaming data? So again, I'm taking this quote to support the explanation. So the challenge is, like, if we are not knowing something prior, so that is basically the challenge, and it is known as variation. So most of the time variations are not known in advance. So to compensate this particular you can say that trouble, visualization can help. So visualization can help to understand the variations very quickly. So through visualization we can simply understand the variation at a very fast way, and then this understanding can help us to handle lots of decision making. So that is basically the so this is basically the core part of the data streaming. So data streaming means data is coming to us in such a way so that we are more worried about its unpredictable nature. So data streaming data is basically full of variations. Okay, and what is the purpose? What is the challenge here? We cannot avoid the variation because most of the real-time applications are full of variations, but we have to see how we can control these variations so that or how we can understand these variations so that we can have more profit. Okay, so I'm giving you the snapshot of the streaming data. So here we can say that data is in motion. Okay, so its arrival is too fast. You can see with the help of visualization, I'm just trying to show. The question is, if data is arriving too fast, then how to make it visible, as well as how to make it visible so that anybody can take appropriate decision on the basis of this picture which we are trying to show. So that is basically a challenging task. So this is a picture of the streaming application. So other than this, if you can see how the streaming applications are playing its role in our day-to-day life. So it is basically all travel apps, which are basically the data streaming apps. Then we are having the parcel tracking system. We are having any supply chain management and retail optimization system. We are having some of the manufacturing units. So these all are basically the means data streaming application. Now I am showing you another thing, like what is complex event processing, and this how this complex event processing is helping us for to solve the purpose of visualization. So suppose you can see that this is the visualization where we have the black and gray dots as well as the red dots. So why these red dots are? So basically red dots are showing some extraordinary situation. Okay, so extraordinary situation means, for example, suppose we are handling bottling plants, and it is a automated bottling plants where we are filling the containers. So whenever you are observing these red dots, they are showing the case of maybe underfilled bottles. So basically how to visualize that? you can see the challenge. The challenge is it is very fast. Whatever operations we are doing, it is too fast. So it is whatever, suppose we are taking some sensors help, and sensors are sensing the bottles not only in terms of weight but also in terms of some pictures or some it is taking the surface picture, and according to that it may able to locate, it may able to classify whether the bottle is overfilled or underfilled. So basically the thing is we need to process it so quickly, taking the picture and then classifying it in terms of underfilled and overfilled, and finally showing the results or alerts in the form of visualization. So basically this is one data streaming application where you can understand that there is no latency permissible. Whatever you are observing, immediately you need to react, and then only it may able to serve the purpose of fully automation system, so that without any human intervention you may able to do the required job. So this is basically this particular concept of big data is known as complex event processing. So for any complex event processing, uh, the main task is to how to visualize the data so that people can able to understand the context in terms of its complex event processing. So there are various pictures. It is all showing like how the different scenarios of big data is important to handle the various kind of visualization challenges. So we are taking this real-time data stream, so you can understand that there may be very quick observation which is required. Okay, so this is basically our real-time analytics in terms of visualization. So what are the, so suppose if we want to visualize the big data, so we need to perform the real-time analytics. The question is, what are the challenges of this real-time analytics? So the challenges are, means you have to very quickly process the data. Okay, then since it is real time, so we should avoid the machine downtime. We should avoid the delay and inaccurate data, and we have to take more and more utilization of the machine, and it is basically more towards becoming proactive. So this is something which is important. Now you can say that what are the practical constraints if we are trying to visualize the simple data, simple streaming data. So you can see that if this is the scenario, and this scenario is we want to simply, means the purpose of visualization is to support the count. Okay, so these are the 4 dots, and these dots are nothing but they are showing the occurrence of 4 different events. Maybe they are independent, they are just happening. So with the help of this visualization, you can show that you can understand that there are 4 events which are happening. Similarly, you can show that there may be 7 events that are happening. You can show that there may be 20 events that are happening. Okay, here now the I'm adding more and more complexity. So here I am now more interested to understand the types of events. So maybe red dots are different events, yellow dots are different events, and here I am adding more complexities in terms of to understanding their temporal interconnection. So how to visualize in such a way so that people can understand their temporal dependency, like which comes fast, which comes later, and how they are, means what are the patterns they are correlated. So suppose if it is raining in Allahabad, so what is the possibility of raining in Delhi? Maybe they are having the similar atmospheric belt, so it is very much correlated. So basically there are so many things which we can see. So the purpose of visualization is to understand correlations, to understand the context. But what is challenging here, the challenging thing is here it is a real-time analytics. So real-time analytics means within a fraction of milliseconds, you have not only to plot the graph or to visualize the context, but you have to also support to be more and more informative in terms of establishing the correlation, in terms of highlighting some unusual activities, or in terms of basically giving more insights over the data. So that is basically the recent demand, where the visualization is now clubbed with very powerful big data tools, so that we can serve the purpose of not only to have better visualization, but to also have better insights over the data which is available. Okay, so basically the data streams are unordered infinite sequence of data, and they can be considered as a tuple or vector. So any data like aviation control data, telecommunication data, sensor data, or industrial data, they are basically the data streams. The context is like, so the data which is your input, suppose you are trying to, ultimately the goal is to visualize the data. So the data is whatever input you are considering, whatever input you are getting, that input is nothing but it is a form of data, and this data is generated as a result of certain events or certain actions. So for example, like if you are tracking your vehicle in a real-time fashion, so according to the vehicle movement you are getting the data. So you are also not sure like what would be the data availability. Is it coming smoothly, or is it coming with some lag, or maybe there are missing values. So there are so many things. The purpose of your visualization or your processing is to serve the accurate data to the end user. So whatever data you are getting, suppose the goal is to have to show you the exact location with expected time of arrival. So that process you have to do with the help of data, and the challenge is you are basically working in a very faster system when you have to show it within the latency of milliseconds or immediately. So whatever data you are getting, you can do some better refinements for further visualizations, and you have to show it in the fraction of milliseconds. And since it is the era of big data, so it is not a few very small snapshot which you have to visualize, but you are dealing with millions of record per second, and then only you can show the particular results. So for example, suppose there is a very interesting tweet which we can observe in a social media platform, and your goal is to visualize whether it is having a positive what you can say sentiments or negative sentiments for that particular tweet. So if at time t you are having thousands of tweets and you visualized it through some graph or some heat map or something like that, at time t plus 1 your previous observation will become useless, because now maybe more thousand tweets are reached and they are showing a different picture, maybe different emotion. So this is the challenge. So now we are working in the era of real-time visualization platforms. It is not with the static data where you visualized once and it is available throughout, means it is available for all the time. Here, in every second, your previous visualization is getting obsolete and you need to update your visualization. So that is simply a challenging task. Here we need to not only to be very fast, but we should be very accurate, because most of the time whatever you are visualizing, whatever you are getting, that is also responsible for some further events. So means, so, for example, suppose you are visualizing the scanning of the what you say the conveyor belt in an airport. Okay, so it is just trying to scan it and trying to visualize it and then trying to understand it whether the particular object is an objectionable object or not. So immediately if it is an objectionable object, whatever is the thing means ultimately it has to raise an alarm. So if it is not on time, it is going to be a waste. So basically this is this is the challenge of dealing with the streaming data for the various purposes, including visualization. Okay, and sometimes, for example, suppose we want to visualize a collective picture. Okay, and if the data is streaming data. So you understand, like suppose we want to show the public opinion, and it should be a ultimate public opinion. So you can understand that public opinion may be coming from some different platforms. Maybe it is coming through social media platforms, maybe it is coming through some other means voting system, maybe it is coming to some one-to-one feedback kind of system. So basically it can be anything. So basically you are continuously getting the injected data, and you need to fuse it at some level, and after fusing that data for some collective decision, you have to show the final picture. So that is basically more challenging thing, and here you need to do it in a fraction of microsecond. So that is actually a difficult thing, how to represent the information in a fraction of microsecond. Okay, so if I go towards more like how difficult the data visualization is with in terms of data streams, so I can show you some other details. For example, like data streams are continuous, they are ordered, they are changing, they are fast, they are in huge amount, and they are in infinite sequence of data. And it is different from the traditional database, because the traditional database management system where the data was finite and persistent. So I can show you these pictures again to support the same thing which I'm trying to show. Like pictures are easy to understand. So you can see that if we are working for the batch processing visualization, then it is more towards dealing with the static files. It is more towards dealing with the process after store. But if we are working with the visualization of streaming data, so we need stream processors for it. We need to immediately sense and then respond. And these are basically the event streams which are reaching to us, and they are basically the low latency applications. So here the challenge is more as compared to working with the batch processing data for the visualization purpose. Okay. So quickly I can summarize, like it is having more real-time requirements, and it is basically the continuous queries that we have to show, and it is all unpredictable behavior of data that we need to visualize. So there are various examples which we can show. Okay, so if we are working for the visualization of streaming data, so we need a streaming data with certain specifications. So specification means so here I will demonstrate the Hadoop ecosystem visualization tools in my second session. So you can say that means it should have some basic characteristics. So basic characteristics means it should offer the low latency processing. So whatever data we are getting, if we are suppose if we are taking averaging, if we are converting it from one format to another format, we are doing some scaling. So all these things should happen as fast as possible. Okay. Then the another very important thing I think that is important to highlight here, which was not yet highlighted, like whenever we are trying to visualize the streaming data, generally we have no time to store it. So we do it in a real-time fashion while storing it in our main memory only. So basically you have only one chance to show it. If you are missing that chance, so basically it is a permanent loss of information for that particular context. So basically whatever we are doing, we have to immediately process. So it is basically processing of events online without actually storing it. Okay. Then definitely if it is a data stream which we want to visualize, so we need to understand how to handle the missing values, how to handle the out of order data, and how to handle the delayed data. So that is also very important. Okay. And basically we have to see the ensure the availability of data for all the time. So if suppose for example, if I am using my Hadoop ecosystem platform, and if I want to process the data for the visualization, and if what will happen if data is not available, maybe there are some kind of failures. So basically for that particular case, the data will not be available for visualization. So how to make this system fault tolerant or failure free, it is again a very critical task to perform. So basically these are the different things where we can process the streaming kind of data. Now the question is, as I told you, it is an infinite sequence of data, and suppose I want to show some best value at any given time. So suppose it is a stock market data, okay, and we want to show that which one is having the best value, means highest value. So although it is infinite sequence of data, we can compare them in terms of some availability of data samples. So that is basically known as windowing mechanism. So windowing mechanism means we need to understand that data is divided into manageable chunks or windows, and we can work upon the visualization of data with that chunk only at a particular time. So that is known as windowing mechanism. So if you want to take some average, or if you want to represent their mean values, or if you want to calculate the standard deviation, so you cannot wait for infinite data which is not yet reached. Basically whatever is available you need to process. Definitely means we don't want that it should be very strict window concept. So we means we have to see the gradual changes also, that I will explain. So meanwhile you understand the concept of windows. So concept of windows means even if it is an infinite sequence of data, we can divide it in terms of manageable available units, that is known as windows. There are different way to identifying the window. Window can be a tumbling window where you are just counting the records and you are creating a window. So here, for example, I'm taking 4 records at a time and this is my window size. Windows can be a time-based window. So maybe I am taking the snapshot of every 1 minute. So my time is 60 seconds. So every 60 seconds, I am taking a snapshot. For that snapshot, I am taking the best value, minimum value. I am taking the average value. I am plotting all the graphs and all. So basically, the snapshot I'm taking, it is a time based and the window size is of 60 seconds here, whatever example I have shown. But you can see, like if this is the case, most of the times you will not feel very satisfied, because we have to see the variation also. So we don't want to miss whatever is coming immediately in the next fraction of second. So can we go for a sliding window? So sliding window means it assigns the events into overlapping buckets of fixed size. So every time for the visualization, I'm not strictly taking a 5 samples or some timestamp, but every time in every fraction of second, I'm considering the visualization snapshot with one new arrived data, and maybe I'm forgetting the oldest one. So this is basically the sliding window concept. So every time we are forgetting the oldest one and we are accommodating the one new snapshot. So maybe we can show the gradual changes with the help of this. So this is the way how the sliding window will work. Sometimes we can take sessions and every session can be considered in one window. Sometimes we can take the parallel windows in terms of various counts. So maybe if it is a count based parallel window, so different data streams may have different counts, and once the count is complete, we can consider it as a part of a one window. Okay, so this is basically the way how to accommodate the streaming data for the visualization purpose. Now I am highlighting one very important characteristics of streaming data that is highly relevant when we talk about the data visualization is the concept drift. So concept drift you can understand with the help of this diagram, I believe. Like I can show you this example. Like this is a symbolic representation of graph, and it is showing the mobile phone evaluation, like how mobile phones are playing a role in our day-to-day life. So you see the early years of 2000 to 2005. So that time I was using mobile phones for more audio calls, very limited text messages, multimedia. I was not aware that time, but still maybe with some better models, multimedia options were there. And then camera was almost missing. Maybe it is showing somewhere, but something like that. So the idea was to use it for the audio calls. Later, from 2005 to 2010, the idea of mobile phone is to definitely use it for this audio call. But you can see the graph showing like people started using it for as a multimedia device. Maybe FM, listening of FM and listening of songs, maybe became popular. So that was the case. Now you see the period of 2010 to 2015, less concern towards the audio call, more concern towards the camera quality. So people now started using mobile phones as a camera. So they are more particular about observing the camera quality, means the overall attention is towards the camera part. Okay, and you see this one, that is also very important. People are using mobile devices to show the internet uses. Okay, so they now it is like a internet device. It is not a for only the phone call, but it is to check the internet applications. And see the present COVID era, everybody is using mobile to use it as an internet device. Okay, so it's a very limited voice, means people are taking it for granted, but they are more concerned how this mobile device can be used as an internet device. So this is a concept drift problem. So concept drift problem means people, interest of people are changing. So how to make your visualization more prominent to highlight such kind of scenarios. So we have to understand this, like concept drift can happen anytime. The question is like maybe we can visualize whatever we have and people can interpret it accordingly, but there is a difference. The difference is if the changes are because of noise, so you need to discard. Your visualization techniques become so adaptable so that you can discard the noise. But if your means whatever variations are coming into the visualization part, if it is not because of noise, but if it is because of concept drift, so you should highlight. Here we should highlight like how the mobile phones in terms of internet uses patterns are reaching to the entirely new way. So that is basically the important challenging aspects, like how to visualize the concept drifts. Sometimes the concept drifts are real concept drifts, and sometimes the concept drifts are virtual concept drifts. So I can give another examples like real concept drift. Suppose you want to visualize a scenario where there is a Harry Potter film series, and we want to with the help of some feedback or something, we have to show that whether it is interesting or junk for some kind of users. Okay, so suppose the watchers are adults, so who initially enjoyed the film, okay, for their special effects, okay, and after a long period of time they are not enjoying, maybe they became bored, and because all the special effects they enjoyed once, but it is repeatedly showing the same thing, so the interest could not able to retain. So that is basically the real concept drift. So real concept drift means I voted Harry Potter movies initially as an interesting movie, but maybe after 6 months I'm voting the same movie as a boring movie, because it is so this is something which has changed as a concept. See the virtual concept drift. Suppose the watchers are nothing but they are the kids, okay, and these kids are right from their childhood days they are enjoying the Harry Potter movies, and even now if they become adult, still they are enjoying the Harry Potter movies. Maybe they have their own different taste. So this is the virtual concept drift. So virtual concept drift means although the everything has changed in terms of the kids are concerned. Earlier means in terms of the audience are concerned. Earlier they were kids, now they are adult, but their decision is still same. Earlier they liked the Harry Potter movies, they are still liking the Harry Potter movie. So how to highlight those aspects? It is a virtual concept drift. And here earlier means the same thing, like it is simple adult characteristics, those males are there, for one time they are saying that the movie is interesting, in another time they are saying that the movie is boring. So again there is a certain changes. So how to highlight these kind of aspects which shows the real concept drift? So basically this is very important to visualize the concept drifts. So you can simply see, like if the drift is sudden, it can be easily visualized like this. If drift is gradual, again it can be visualized like this. If it is incremental, it can be visualized like this. If it is recurrent, it can be visualized like this. So through visualization you can understand, like it is a sudden drift, gradual drift, incremental drift, or recurring drift. But if it is a case of a real concept drift or virtual concept drift, so not only to visualize but to give more insights through visualization is really a difficult task. So here we have to see how we can gain more and more knowledge with these kind of things. Okay. So ultimately, what is the challenging part here? If we talk in terms of visualization, so the challenging part is huge amount of data, faster arrival of data, efficient decision making expectations. So basically these are the important aspects, so that we need to deal with. Okay. Okay. So ultimately, you can understand that it is not simple visualization with colorful graphs and something. It is not only to visualize, but to also invoke further activities. So further activity, invoking a further activity is more difficult task. Okay. So basically, it needs correct visualization, you can say. So for example, if you take the ICU pervasive health monitoring system, where there is no human which is acting upon, but there may be some automated actions are tuned up. So how, with the help of effective visualization, we can invoke that automated action is really a critical task. Okay. So big data visualizations are basically challenging in many aspects. So it is challenging if it is in unstructured, if it is challenging in terms of number of users. Okay, it is challenging where we are dealing millions and billions of records, and we are correlating it millions of pixels. So basically these are the challenging tasks. Okay, so we are relying upon visual clutters. So how to avoid visual clutters like overlaps and crossing? So that is again a difficult thing. Ultimately, if you are generating these graphs, you need to make it fair interpretation over this graph. So how to rely upon these graphs and how to handle these visual clutters, it is difficult. Then we are dealing with the performance issues. So performance issues means how to get the huge data set under our control for getting valuable insights. Then the last thing is we have limited cognitions. Okay, so limited cognition means if you are showing one picture, I'm able to grasp. If you are showing hundreds of pictures, I may not be able to grasp like what is the takeaway. So that is a limited cognition factor. So that is also taken into consideration. Okay. So if we go for various techniques, so there may be pixel oriented visualization. So a multidimensional data contains 6 attributes. So we can take their pixel oriented visualization with the help of these attributes. Okay, so 10,000 items with 6 dimensions can be represented with the help of order by degree of interest with the help of various color codes. Okay, then we can also visualize them order by attribute similarities. So we can see that how the attributes are similar in terms of their values. We can also show them in terms of certain subsets or in terms of a particular feature. So it is all pixel oriented visualization. Then the another thing is we can visualize the things in terms of aggregation and level of details. So that is very possible in big data scenario where either we can roll up or drill down. So roll up may be more abstract view and drill down may be more detailed view. So building a tree for aggregating data items in either a bottom up or a top down approach. So sometimes we roll up. If it is a roll up case, you can only see the top nodes. If it is a drill down case, you can go through all the details. So that is basically the aggregation and level of detail. So at what level, how much data you want to visualize. So the level of detail should be identified. Okay. Then other pictures, like sometimes we rely upon histograms, sometimes heat maps are there. So heat maps, histograms, they are for the purpose of aggregation and level of details. Info cubes are also proposed by various authors. In 2003, first it came into the picture where you are trying to visualize the element, data element under multiple dimensions. So we are here representing time, product, and location to visualize a particular data element. Okay, so basically these are the different ways. So heat maps you can show, like heat maps can be shown with the help of various representations. So it is basically how to show the aggregated data with different level of details. Okay. So sometimes for aggregation, we see scatter plots and parallel coordinates and star plots. So there are different publications. They have represented the different way of showing the aggregation, and sometimes it is showing the distortion. So what the distortion is actually showing. So basically distortion is a way to understand the variation which was unexpected or which we cannot correlate with some other factor. So distortion can also be shown with the help of some particular visualization techniques. Okay, so we can show the distortion with the help of this. You can say that then there is a clutter reduction method. So we can reorder to show the clutters. Okay, we can do some edge bundling. So basically these are the different visualization techniques which we can perform. Okay, so the question is like how we can visualize big data. So for big data aspect, you can say that there are various tools. So what I will be suggesting here, like there are open source tools, there are commercial tools. So there are basically various tools that they are dealing with data driven documents for the visualization purpose. So basically for what I can say that it is not only to go for some straightforward visualization tools, but definitely they work as a in clubbed with certain other components. Like most of the visualization tools now, they are empowered by computer graphics, data mining tools, human computer interaction tools, and industrial design tools. Then they are becoming the visualization tools. So it is not simply Excel kind of environment where feeding the data and getting the graph. Basically how to feed the data, how to fuse the data, how to process the data, how to filter the data. Maybe we are subsetting the data through clustering mechanism. Maybe we are filtering the data through classification mechanism. So basically, its visualization tool is not only a simple visualization tool nowadays. It is empowered by computer graphics, data mining, human computer interaction, and some advanced designing tool. Then only it is serving the purpose of visualization, which are the demand. Okay, so streaming data. So if it is streaming data, so I have already explained you, like streaming data is having their own concern. So we have to handle all those situations, like their arrival rate, their concept drift problems, and their in-memory computation. We cannot store them. So basically the streaming visualization tool has all, it needs all the capabilities to handle all such scenarios. So I think this is enough for my first session. So we may connect again at 2:30 for my next session. So in that session, I may able to give you some demonstrations for the visualization with the help of Hadoop and Kibana tools. So okay, so I'm now handling the control to the organizers for concluding the session of for lunch, and we can start after lunch.
Okay, right, ma'am. As you have very nicely explained that data visualization is a graphical representation of data to understand data and make the analysis of data in easier and quick manner. In yesterday's session, Dr. Deepak discussed about data visualization of static data. But as we have seen today, that data is not always at rest, it is in motion. So Dr. Sonali has very nicely introduced the concept of real-time data that is coming from different domains and why real-time or streaming data analytics is so important. Also, a lot of use cases of stream data analytics in different domains were discussed in this session. Non-IT professionals may find it a little bit complex, but it has given you a very good introduction of what all are the possibilities with real-time analytics, and maybe this knowledge will help you to identify how it can be useful in your domain. You may take help of some IT professionals and apply the concepts understood in your particular domain. Thank you, Dr. Sonali. We'll meet at 2:30 again.
Okay.
So participants, let's take a small break. We'll meet at 2:30 for the next session.
Sure.
Right, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.